Hey kids, I'm going to go over how to draw a basket, and I'm going to start my basket in pencil and then go over some of my lines with Sharpie. And I'm going to start by kind of placing where my basket is going to go. So I'm going to make a basket sort of shaped like this. I'm kind of thinking of like almost a square but rounded on the edges. And then same down here. And then this would be a side, and this would be a side, and this would be the front, quote unquote, corner, but doesn't really have a corner. Okay, and now I'm going to plan for where my weaving is going to go. So I'm going to put, actually, you know what? I think I want it to be a little bit more narrow here because it's going to have a section around it that kind of ropes around it. And so then I'll start my weaving here. So this will be one line, and this will be one, and I'm making them about the same width apart from each other, and I'm making them go from one end to the other. This will be really helpful later for you to keep your basket kind of organized. It doesn't end up looking super chaotic. One down here. Excuse me. And then I'm going to make the vertical parts of the weaving. So the way this is going to work is, if you've ever looked at bricks, you know that they have like a space between them, and then in that space is where the space for the next set of bricks is. But in this particular case, all of our bricks are going to have two lines. So you're going to follow this pattern where you space it here, and then you put this between them the whole way. Now it might be easier, but you have to keep it straight, right? That you skip every other line. So once you have it here, it could go here, skipping here, and then down here, here, skipping, here, skipping, here. And then I think that's the last one we would see. Now I'm going to go to the edges of each of these pieces of basket, and I'm going to make sure that I can bend this out a little bit. And then same thing here. This is going to just kind of bow out a little bit. Okay, now you can Sharpie or marker over this, but if you are particular, like me, then each one of these becomes its own little section, right? So this, if you kind of picture it, it tucks under that, comes out, goes over that one, tucks under that one, comes out, goes over that one. So each one of these is going to kind of bow out this way. Now I am going to come back when I have these filled in. If you need time, and I imagine that if you're doing this you will, you should pause this video and finish these little basket parts and get them, correct in pencil before you commit to them in marker. And then come back. I'll probably do the bottom parts in marker also. I'm going to show you how to do the top, and then I'm going to draw some stuff in the basket. So some of this I can't Sharpie right now, but I can do this and then erase my pencil lines. So I'll be back when I have that done. Okay, so I did some Sharpie lines on the parts of the basket that I wanted to keep, and I erased my pencil lines. And now I'm going to show you where I put the shadows. So I have these pieces that hold the basket together, these vertical pieces, and these go between them. And in these little spaces in here is where it would get the shadow. So in all these little kind of pockets of spaces that you have created is where you can darken your basket. All right, so I'm going to finish the shadows later. I'm going to show you how to do the basket top. So there's a whole bunch of ways to make these basket drawings, and there's a whole bunch of ways to make the basket top. But the one that I'm going to show you is this. Here, I'll show you in pencil first. So I'm going to start with a curve at the end, like that. And then I'm going to make this shape. So it goes like this, right? And then I'm going to put another one right up against it, like that. And then another one. And this is why I didn't want to Sharpie this top, because some of these hang over. And another one. Now, if you want them to be thinner, you would just thin them out. If you want them to be more stretched, you would just make this line longer, like that, right? Totally up to you. But once you start your pattern, it looks best if you keep that pattern going. I'm kind of turning it because the angle of the basket is turning. But you could keep it just the same the whole way. It's going to look great. And then on the ends, it's just, the part you see that's rounded. Now, I could fill in back here, but like I said, I'm going to fill this basket full of stuff. So I have kind of been into these pine cones lately. I don't really get it either, kids, but I want to put some pine cones in here. So if you watched my tutorial on pine cones, you might remember the one where we start with just the shapes at the ends. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some shapes, but I'm imagining the pine cone is on its side. So I'm going to make that come over there a little bit. Some of these get kind of nestled down in, so you only see part of the shape. And then I'll probably make one here. So I'm picturing the pine cone here, right? That's my basic idea. So this pine cone was here. Now this one is here. And this one is the top. So I'll have some smaller shapes up here. And then I'm going to work these shapes down. And the way I described them in the pine cone video was they're sort of like an upside down triangle. But they can definitely be very organic. They don't have to be that shape every time. They shouldn't be that shape every time. I'm going to put this one down in here. Now, if you want to put, fruit in here, or you could leave it empty, or if you want to fill it with, I don't know, toys, it's your basket. You could put whatever you want in it. And then I'll have some of this visible over here. Let's fill that in there. And then maybe I'll have another pine cone down here. And then maybe I'll have some of those branches that I liked from the other video here. These are going to be some pine branches. And I put them in at the end of the pine cone video. So I'm going to fill this in, and I'm going to connect these, but I'll show you how I connect them after I outline these in Sharpie. So I'll go over this in Sharpie. I'm going to go over these shapes in Sharpie, and then I'll show you how I connect them back to the center of the pine cone. I'll be right back. Okay, so let's take this one, right? The foreground pumpkin, pine cone. And let's imagine that the center of the pine cone runs this way. So these pieces are going to curl in towards the center until they touch the part of the pine cone in front of it. These pieces are going to curl in also towards the center until they touch the pine cone part that's in front of them. So if it's on this side of the center, it's going to go this way. And if it's on this side of the center, it's going to go this way. Okay, we need a little bit more there to fill that in. And I know we have another pine cone down here. Same concept, right? Once you decide where the center of the pine cone is, these parts all go towards it. Kind of nesting down in there. Let's put another part right there. Now, the center of this one goes this way. So we're going to bring these in, and they're going to go towards the part that is the center until they touch what is kind of blocking the view. Let's put another part there. It's easy to just sort of fill in the gaps with another shape. I'm going to make that one go up because it's the bottom. All right, now let me finish putting the rest of the basket in. I'll show you how to do these, and I'm going to add some shadows. I'll be right back. Okay, so the way I did these pine needles was off of the branches. I clustered it like this. Before. So you put a couple needles together and then go down to your next cluster, and then I'm lifting my pen up as I pull so that the ends get thinner. And I mentioned that they go towards the end of the branch, like they don't come back this way. They point towards the end of the branch, and then they come up the other side. So I have a lot to do on this drawing before it's done, but it's not something you should have to sit through. I have to add shadows between these areas, and I'm going to put a little texture on my basket, finish the shadows in between these areas, although I got a lot of that in, and add my pine needles. Oh boy. So I will be back and I will show you when it's done. Okay, so I've put a lot of my texture lines in. I did some shadowed areas. I put it on a table because it was kind of bothering me that I had all this up here and nothing down here. And the only other thing I wanted to show you was these like directional lines in the pine cone. So all I'm doing for this is I have the shape we made, and then we have the sections that we brought it into the pine cone. And if you start from the right underneath the shape down to the pine cone is how you want to do this. So you're sort of just reinforcing that direction, and it's a texture line to show the texture of the pine cone. And then let's put one there because it needs it. And then I'm just filling in some dark areas between them because that's in shadow. And now I'm going to color it, right? Because why not? And this has been, as usual, tremendously fun. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, kids.